Today, I'm going to show you the most fun deck in Hearthstone right now. Interestingly enough, it runs Draenei, but it isn't the class that you think it is. And also, you will never guess the true engine that powers its success. I'm Ken, I just turned 43 the day after Christmas, and I'm so excited to present this deck to you, a deck of my own creation, a deck that is so fun and satisfying that I had to share with you guys in a boring ladder experience filled with the same old nonsense. You know, I've been spending the days since Christmas drafting up a bunch of different ideas utilizing other mechanics and cards. And I think with this particular list, I've hit something pretty special. So this deck revolves around a couple of the key cards, and we will get into it right now, especially the card that really drives the engine. But let me preface this by saying, please be open to my explanation of the cards, okay? When I explain the engine that powers it, this will all make a lot more sense, okay? And these cards won't just look like a mess of random stuff, all right? Okay, so this is a deck right here, Ethereal Mage, and I went for like as much, you know, it is of my own creation, so I wanted to give it as much of a personal feel as possible. And really, the reason I created this deck was because I was playing Spellburst Rogue for another video that I was planning on making, but I scratched that and I was like, well, Nexus Prince Jafar, you know, this can't only be a rogue card. It's got to be good in some other classes. So I decided to go with Mage because of this Mage portrait that I have for Cardslinger Sarad, which is also ethereal. So I was like, yeah, let's do that. Let's have that make that deck, okay? So starting with Nexus Prince Jafar and this card, Exarch Kataru, which is a card that doesn't see a lot of play, but it is promising in certain ways, all right? So if you don't know what this card does, it's 5 mana, Draenei, 5/5. Battle Cry, discover spell and reduces cost by 1. If you play that card, repeat the effect. So on paper, this is like a very late game mage card. You drop it on turn 10 and you get like 5 mana to work with, right? That makes sense. Not very powerful. Like you can see why it doesn't see a lot of play in the current game. Okay. So I wanted to see if there are ways to kind of work around that. And the win condition in this deck is not actually Exarch Kataru. Sometimes it's Nexus Prince Jafar, but it's usually Arcwind Pilot. Okay, so this card is 7 mana, 4/3 Draenei. At the end of your turn, deal 3 damage to a random enemy, and Spellburst, summon an Arcwind Pilot. So, like Nexus Prince Jafar, if you don't know what Spellburst does, Spellburst is when you play the minion, the first spell you play when the minion is out activates the Spellburst effect. So for Nexus Prince Jafar, it buffs something in your hand. For Arcwind Pilot, it creates a copy of Arcwind Pilot. Now, the copy does not activate its Spellburst. So if you had 10 mana, you could do something like play Arcwind Pilot for 7, and then Divine Brew, and then Life-Saving Aura, and then a Sea Beast Chalice, or whatever, right? And then that would give you 4 Arcwind Pilots on the board, right? A little board flood. Now that's pretty cool. And you know, this is not a really powerful card when you look at power 4/3, right? So it's not like overpowered or anything. And when you make copies, even if this were buffed, the copies would still be 4/3 copies. They wouldn't be like 7/7 copies or whatever. Okay, so you know, that is the power behind the deck. But I know you're looking at it and you're like, well, this is just too slow, right? Like waiting to turn 10 for this effect is just too slow. Why would I do that? And you're absolutely right? Like Exarch Kataru, like waiting for turn 10 so I can maybe get 5 random spells in my hand, like that just seems too slow. What if I told you there was a way to power all these so that they were much stronger? And that card is this, Ingenious Artificer. The 5 mana, 4/6 Draenei, Battle Cry, the next Draenei you play refreshes mana crystals equal to its attack. So if I play this on turn 5, that means when I play Exarch Kataru on turn 6, Kataru is free, meaning I'll have 6 mana total to work with on turn 6 to do, you know, to use his effect on, which is much stronger. Same thing with Arcwind Pilot. Now I can play Arcwind Pilot on turn 7, and if I play him on turn 7, I'll have 4 mana to work with to cast spells, meaning I'll have 5 Arcwind Pilots on board. I can play him on 7, play Life-Saving Aura, 2 Sea Beast Chalices, and a Divine Brew, some combination of cards like that. And this increase in the clock is a lot stronger. And everything else in the deck revolves around these kind of synergies, right? So when you think of like Jafar, Now, if the spell burst gets put onto Hataru, Hataru is an 8/8, meaning he can come down and refresh 8 mana for 5, right? Or your Arcwind Pilot comes out as a 7/4, meaning he's free, right? Or I'm sorry, a 7/6, meaning that you'll be free to cast a 7 mana card and have 7 mana to work with. And these are just some of the small synergies here. Everything else in the deck is a small creature that fights for the board that either creates a spell or uses a spell in its effect. Okay, so we have the cheat spells, Divine Brew, Life-Saving Aura. We got a small creature, Miracle Salesman. It gives you a 1 mana spell, right? Quote unquote spell. Primordial Glyph, which will give you cheaper spells. Troubled Mechanic, which Troubled Mechanic, when in play, its spell burst is to draw a Draenei, which is, guess what? These 3 guys and Rayla. We got Wand Maker, which is a 2 mana body that gives you a 1 class cost spell. We got Ethereal Oracle that has the spell burst to draw you more spells. We got Gorgon Zomlu that gives you a spell. We got Mixologist that gives you a spell. This engine is just there to fuel the deck in these synergies. And it's very worthwhile and very fun. I'm going to show you a couple of gameplay, like full games here. And you tell me what you think. And I hope you give this deck a run. Is it like refined totally? No, I don't think so. I think like a couple of cards, like maybe Wand Maker could be something else, even though I do think it's pretty decent. Mixologist might not be necessary, even though it's worked out really well. Reverberations, I don't know how you say this word, but reverberations, I guess that's what you say. I would like a second copy of it. I think that would be pretty important. But yeah, this is the deck I'm running. Some people might be interested in trying out Skyla, like playing Portalmantle Skyla and having access to the rogue cards instead. So my package has Divine Brew, Life-Saving Aura, and Volleyball. Those could easily be Metal Detector for Volleyball. The 2 mana spell for Rogue that gives you a coin, and the 2 mana spell for Rogue that gives you 2 1 mana spells. That change could be there. I could definitely see that. But I think Rayla just in this particular deck does way more than what Skyla would do. Skyla's effect would be kind of useless in this particular list. But anyway, that's the deck. Let's go through some gameplay. Alright, I'm playing these videos at the normal speed so you can kind of get a feel of what's going on. Mulligan, you want to keep 1 drops, maybe 2 drops, and you want to keep Ethereal or Nexus Prince Shafar in slower matchups. So if you're playing Death Knight, I anticipate some type of Rainbow Death Knight or Control Death Knight. And my game plan here is to just accumulate spells in my hand so that I can activate other card activators. So I play the Wand Maker because I know next turn I want to play the Draenei plus a spell. So here's the Draenei plus a spell. That's going to draw me another Draenei, right? Great. This is what the deck does. Slow incremental games over time into a bigger turn where I can blow them out, right? So here, just use hero power, just use a spell to give me freer stuff. I don't know how often I should be playing that particular card, the finale card, because it kind of stacks your hand up a bit, but we've gone for it here, And here, I just want to I don't want to overdraw too much. My hand is a little difficult here, so let's see what we go for. We take a rewind probably. It's just cheap. It's free. And let's look for more spells. Let's take another one. Okay, and I'll take Heat Wave because I need to clear this board. Now, I don't want to do it here because I'm only going to clear 1 guy and the Hellia will stay alive. So instead, let's just see if we can manage my hand somehow. So probably Soul Freeze to save up on damage and just getting rid of the Snake Oil on the hand to ensure that I have hand space for next turn, right? So here my opponent got what I would consider a pretty weak turn, and he plays into that. So that makes my Heat Wave so much better. And now this turn has become so much better. Now I have the board, I've cleared his board, and I have hand space, and I've drawn more cards. So that's good, okay? Here, whenever you get this guy, you play him Ingenious Artificer, because now that's gonna allow me to do whatever I want. I could do a Hataru next turn. I can do an Arcwing. And here I recognize the, so my Arcwing will come out. It will give me, I will have 5 mana for that turn. So I can have 5 mana to use on spells. And I will likely have somewhere between 4 or 5 Arcwings next turn, right? So, and, I'm taking damage, but it's okay. And here we go, Arcwing, refreshing mana. Let's buff one. Let's, Divine Brew another one. Divine Brew another one. And let's save the other and instead use the finale. Discovery of Magic. Okay, I'll take that for free. Okay, I'll take a Shadow Step. Great. Let's bounce a guy back. So we got 6 on board. We have another 2 in hand. And Hataru. And we've cleared this board. And now my opponent does misplay here. The play when there's a board and you cannot clear it is to kill the Arcwing that's on the far right, because that's the one that hasn't used the spell burst yet. So, but my opponent, I don't know, maybe he's just being greedy here. I'm not exactly sure what his game plan was on how he was planning on clearing this particular board. But he kills one, kills another. And maybe he was hoping that he's going to keep the spell burst one, but that's kind of crazy. So now this is a mistake. Like this is almost an auto win. So here I'm looking for more spells, taking free spells. Let's summon something that died, and I'll just kill off a minion, and I'll freeze a minion, and just attack face, because I know I have 12 damage that can go anywhere, right? And I'll play the Sunset Volley because he's pretty close to dead. So, just the 8 damage burst might help me. And then this game is done. Like, my opponent cannot react. He's just going to stall out the remainder of this turn. But for my next turn, even if you were to kill this board in any number of ways, there would be ways to come back. I could play another Arcwing. I could play Hataru to refill my hand. Or I could drop a lot of my hand. I could play Gorgon Zormu, use up the mixtape card, Mixology, whatever it may be. But yeah, this game is done. Opponent is quitting, and we're going to go on to the next game, right? And remember, this is a deck, Death Knight, this is a deck that you'll see pretty common on the ladder. So, don't be surprised. Your deck will be perfectly fine against that, okay? There we go. Really fun, really cool. All right, here we go into the next game. We are playing a Warlock. So, I don't know if it's a Demon Warlock. I don't know if it's the Armor Warlock. I'm not sure. But I kept Nexus Shafar in the opening hand because I expect it to be a slower deck, and I want to get the mileage out of that card. And this game, you will see how strong this card is. So basically, with Shafar, and then, at least in this particular deck, you want to slow play your hand. You'll notice every turn that I'm only playing 1 creature, maybe 2 creatures max, but I'm always trying to take advantage of the spell burst effect. So here, the Ethereal Oracle has both spell burst effects. So he's the card I choose to play, and I'm drawing cards. Now, Miracle Salesman has the spell burst effect of Shafar. So I know that my line of play intends to evolve, my next line of play intends to revolve around Miracle Salesman, okay? And it's clear at this point my opponent's playing some kind of demon control deck. And, there's a secret and counterspelled by the, there's a spell counterspelled by the secret. And I'm in a good spot. Now I have spell damage on the board. He opts to do this nonsense, which is kind of crazy, and it's going to allow me to play my Miracle Salesman, activate the spell burst from Shafar, and I can move on. Now I had the opportunity. I could play the Gorgon Zormu, but remember, I always want to make sure that the Shafar effect continues. So that's why I didn't play it out. Had I played it out, then I would have lost Gorgon Zormu and lost the effect. So that was very important to me. Now I play it. I could play, more damage off the Chalice here. Now the Wand Maker is affected, so I won't play the Wand Maker this turn. We'll clear something out, and let's just play 1/1s. That's okay. Let's force my opponent to use the the small removal like Defile. Let's try to get rid of that, or Domino Effect. Let's get him to use these cards early. And here we go. He uses 2s. Pretty crazy play, in my opinion. But now we play the Wand Maker. We use the Spell Effect. Now we've buffed Arcwing. Okay, so you always got to keep in mind what card has been buffed by the Nexus Prince Jafar effect. Yeah, and I buff my board so that it isn't easily clearable. Let's see, what does he do? Like Domino Effect, Soul Shat. What is that thing called? The one that Siphon Soul. Like there are options here, right? Hellfire? Do they still play or the Fell one? I forgot what it's called. But there are board clears. But he's at 14 health, so he's this is a precarious situation for him. And let's look at my hand. Okay, I have the Arcwing, I have Hataru, I have Rayla, I have great cards. Okay, double secret, 3 creatures on board. This is where we really have to learn how to play around secrets. Okay, so we're gonna go for it. Let's see what we're gonna do. Let's find out if there's a ice trap. There is not an ice trap, but what is hidden meaning? So there's one more secret left. Let's find out if it's explosive. It's not. All right, so it's either hidden meaning or rat trap. Now I have Soul Freeze in hand. Okay, so I'm okay with finding out or forcing a potential rat trap. And that's what I'm going to do here. I'm going to use spells, buff it. It is rat trap. Let's freeze the board and keep my opponent in a tougher spot. So that could have been a disastrous turn. Or we could have allowed my opponent back into the game and stop putting tempo. But no, we don't. We do this. He clears. He finds life. What does he do? Gets himself to what? Okay, gets himself to 10 health. And unbeknownst to him, that is just how much damage we actually have in hand. But there you go. Another easy game. Well, at least creative game and good win. All right, with that said, I'm just going to leave you with the final footage of this game right here. This is the deck. It is fun. It is very, very fun. One of the most fun decks I've played in a while. Is it perfect? No. It's got great lines of play. It's creative. You're playing these cards that people don't really play. And I think this is one of the good things about Hearthstone. Too often, we get caught up in this feeling of like, oh, this meta's so broken, and there's these cards and things that are so broken. And you know what? Maybe they are. Maybe they are. These things, Dungar Druid, it sucks to lose to that. The Hand of Paladin is boring, right? Like, Swarm Shaman before the nerf, they were rough, right? And gameplay can be so disheartening, and there's kind of just disappointing and not a fun feeling as a player. But I'm here to tell you that you can find fun. You can find ways to enjoy the game. You just got to be willing to go be creative and try new things. And I do think that this deck is only going to get stronger. There are going to be more fun things to do. And that, is potentially pretty decent right now. Is it the right way? I don't know. Like I said, maybe you try Skyla instead of Rayla. I do think Rayla is better, but I do think that there's room to try out new ideas there, because hey, like, this is a deck. It's fun, super cool. Let me know in the comments what you think. I hope you had a great Christmas. It's gonna be a new year. We're gonna have the mini set, so there'll be much more to talk about. So stay tuned for all of that. And I hope that 2025 is a great year for you, both in the game and out. All right. So till I see you next time.